Okay, our next speaker is Angel D'Angelo. Followed by Glenn Etch. I'm sorry, we followed by Scott Shoup, I'm sorry. Angel D'Angelo followed by Scott Shoup. Good morning.
Good morning, my name is Angel D'Angelo. I'm a native to Hillsborough County, Florida. I'm here to speak about the so-called RABOR. First of all, I'm absolutely disappointed that that's even a thing. For anyone that's from Hillsborough County, Ybor is one of the most personal and special parts of Tampa, especially myself as a great-grandchild of Italian immigrants. There's a huge Italian history, Afro-Cuban history in Ybor that you're willing to override for the Tampa Bay Rays. Tampa Bay Rays over all of this lovely history. The struggle. On top of that, Ybor currently is, what's left of it, the home of the LGBTQ community. Gay and trans people congregate there when they have been left out of the rest of society. But most disturbingly, the thought that even 1 penny of our tax dollars would go to this is absolutely disgusting and unacceptable. 15% of your population lives in poverty. You could put affordable housing. I'll be happy to pay tax dollars to that. We always talk about, we don't want to use tax dollars. We hate socialized this. We can't have socialized healthcare, blah, blah, blah. You want to socialize a corporation and a sports team? I don't care about having the Tampa Bay Rays here. I don't even know the last time they've won a game. I don't pay attention. We need affordable housing. You have a population of 14% that can't access health care. We have a lawsuit going on to stop a transit bill that we voted in. So you want to override something we did vote in, and you want to use our tax dollars. We agreed to pay that tax, but you want us to use tax dollars we didn't agree to a stadium. It makes no sense. And we have to take time away from work to come here to tell this body to do their job. And honestly, it's exhausting. It's very exhausting. If I don't do my job the way my bosses tell me to do, I don't get to come back to work. So remember, we saw, what was it, 2 seats flip? Welcome to the board, new people. 2 seats flip. Victor Chris probably didn't think he was going anywhere. So pay close attention to what you're doing, because we're getting empowered. The millennials are getting out here. Gen Z's coming up. We're coming out to vote. We're educating each other. We're providing that education, and we're coming out here, taking time off of work or school or whatever to speak to you. So don't put a tax dollar towards this RABOR. Invest in affordable housing, invest in poverty alleviation. City of Tampa's mayor put out a tweet against Trinity Cafe for the work they do for the homeless, arrested people last year in 2017, national embarrassment, because there's never any money to do anything for anybody, but you have the money for a stadium, for a subpar at best baseball team. I'm not buying it. I literally don't want to buy it. Like, use the money to something that helps humanity. It is not a difficult concept. So I hope to see it there, and either way, we will see whoever goes the other way on Election Day.
Thank you. Next speaker is Scott Shoup, followed by Glenn Etch.
Good morning. My name is Scott Shoup. I live in West Chase, 33626. I'm here this morning to speak about the proposed Tampa Bay Rays Stadium in Ybor City. I have 3 problems with this. First is lack of public scrutiny. Recently, the county administrator, who's been working behind the scenes with attorney Erwin Rajesh, who counsels on stadium issues, was quoted in the Tampa Bay Times saying, and I quote, "I'm optimistic that a deal can be done." And I say, what deal? Anyone following local media knows that the Rays want the public to fork over $500 million to help build their stadium. So we have a new BOCC now. It's getting late, and we need to have a conversation on the non-binding agreement that's to expire December 31st. How can the administrator be optimistic about getting the stadium built without the public's knowledge of the details of this non-binding agreement? We, the people, have a right to know what's going on with the people's money. And while I'm on the topic of secrecy, there's one sitting commissioner here who's been subject to various media reports of working behind the scenes with an Ybor developer, and I believe he should recuse himself from interactions with the Rays. The second problem is gentrification. If this stadium is built in Ybor City, we will continue to see gentrification on a larger scale. Working class neighborhoods like in East Tampa will feel the brunt of this via increasing real estate prices, resulting in a further diaspora to North Tampa. As far as Ybor City itself, the stadium will absolutely destroy Ybor's cultural heritage. The opportunity zone that Mayor Buckhorn secured from Governor Scott would turn this precious national treasure into a Disney-fied Potterville, a hyper-corporate playground erasing all of Ybor's working-class origins, struggles, and achievements. And then finally, it's the public money. In the era of neoliberal economics and its corollary austerity, the quotes in the media by the county administrator, the relationship with a certain county commissioner with the Ybor developer, strategizing on how to pay for private baseball stadium with public money is immoral. Public money should go to public needs like affordable housing, not a baseball stadium that demographics show will be used by affluent white male baby boomers in the corporate class. We people demand an honest discussion at the BOCC. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Glenn Each, I hope I pronounced that right, followed by Valerie McDonald.
Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Glenn Ike. I live at 2900 University Square Drive here in Tampa. I'm here to address item C2, the update on Tampa Bay Rays discussion. Ybor City is has a unique cultural history over a century old, and I'm here today to do all I can to help preserve that culture. I am far from the only person that considers Ybor City the soul of Tampa. There is nowhere in Florida that is home to a community more diverse, more accepting, and more loving than that of Ybor City. For many, to lose what Ybor City is would amount to nothing less than losing the heart of Tampa. It's unthinkable. Now when I walk down 7th Avenue, I see Raybor flags and banners all along both sides of the street. The money brokers behind the proposed Tampa Bay Rays project aren't even trying to hide the fact that it intends to turn Ybor City into an entertainment extension of the stadium itself, to gentrify Ybor City by every definition of the word. As part of the culture in Ybor, I'll say that all of us are not here, or any of us are not here for anyone else's entertainment, and we will fight to keep from being driven out of our home. I have listened to interviews by those who have been spearheading the drive to fast-track the Rays Stadium, and I've heard the plans to develop areas around the stadium to provide modern, high-cost living, housing, hotels and entertainment venues to cater to the tourists and the wealthier residents of Hillsborough. It's ludicrous to pretend that Ybor City won't be swallowed up by this and effectively destroyed by this blatant gentrification. Worse yet, this stadium, mostly to be funded by public funds, would be the third most expensive baseball stadium in our history, in the U.S. history, even considering inflation, and will be the smallest stadium in the league, even smaller than Tropicana Field, where the Rays have already proven themselves a failure. It's as though this proposed relocation is doomed to fail before it even starts. I personally believe it's nothing more than a money grab by the owners and the stockholders of the Rays and the land developers who are behind this project. It certainly won't benefit the citizens of Hillsborough. Academic studies throughout the country bear this out. Unfortunately, the Rays franchise when the franchise eventually dies or moves out of the community, as I'm sure it will, it may prove impossible to resurrect Ybor City as we know it and love it. If Ybor City dies, there'll be nothing left in Hillsborough County to distinguish it from any other urban sprawl in the country. Thank you.
Beth Erickson Shoup, followed by Ken Hare.
Yes,
Sorry,
my
Kevin
name
O'Hare.
is Beth Erickson Shoup, and I'm a resident of Tampa Bay. Just as the Encore development at the northern end of downtown Tampa erases an important part of our community's history, so too with the development of a new Rays Stadium in Ybor City. The history of Tampa's African American community on Central Avenue, which was the main business and recreation district and the center of Black life, is paid little attention. Think of how much culturally richer Tampa would be if the district had been preserved, just as the Cuban-Italian heritage of Ybor City has been. And now we are at risk of not only losing this cultural gem too, but we are going to displace Black and Latinx working class people whose families have, for decades, called Ybor and East Tampa home. How shameful, how immoral, and for what? For the entertainment of old, rich white men. According to Fortune magazine, Major League attendance has dropped to its lowest average in 15 years, down 6.6% from this time last year and 8.6% overall, according to Stats LLC. Baseball Commissioner Rob Manfred said that the league is concerned that there is something to low attendance rates. Well, it's not difficult to figure out. It's that the attendees are dying off, literally. According to Nielsen Scarborough research from 2016 to 2017, baseball has the oldest viewers of major sports, with half its audience 55 or older, and they are mostly white men. Those aged 18 to 34 are just not interested. And with their high college debt, unaffordable housing costs, and low living wages, their lack of disposable income for entertainment is just not there. I am opposed to the building of the stadium in Ybor City. I am opposed to the building of the stadium, not only if any public tax dollars are earmarked for it, but even if the owner himself spent all $8 million of his own money to build it, because of the negative cultural impact on our community and the lives of the residents of Ybor City and East Tampa. And I find it curious that agenda item F8 is going to be on the discussion of the negotiations, when the person who sits on this commission, who has been heading these non-transparent, secretive negotiations, is not even present. Thank you.
Thank you. Jay Passmore, and the last speaker this morning will be Sadie Dean. Unfortunately, we are at the close of 45 minutes. We'll come back to those that did not have an opportunity to speak this afternoon at the close of our meeting. Ms. Passmore.
I'm going to get right into it. I just got my wisdom teeth pulled a couple of days ago, so I'm going to just get right into it. I do want to address the fact that I feel like every person who signed up to speak during this time should be able to speak. I find it funny when it's certain commissioners who want to target certain agenda items. They make sure that everyone who's in the room gets a chance to speak. I disagree with cutting off a time. If people came out here on this cold morning and signed up to speak, it doesn't matter if it's 45 minutes. Let the people speak. That's your job, to listen and make an informed decision. Moving on from there. I'm glad to see the new county commissioners. Kim, you've been doing your thing. I'm glad you're stepping up. I want to say something about the ferry initiative. Two things. The commission, Pat, you called us. You called an action and said that you want us to support you. I do believe that cutting the program was very premature and a waste of time, energy, and effort. I'm glad that you have more transit supporters on the board with you now. However, the people do demand to know, if this is reinstated, does the money go all the way back from the beginning, or does it pick up where it left off? We need to know what the cost of reinstating this program is. That's very important. All for transportation. Stacey White, you're a joke. As far as the Rays Stadium, we have to look and see what plenty of people have said before me. This isn't just about a stadium. This is about the will of the people.
Excuse me. No. If you remember, when I read the opening statement about making public comment, it was not to make any public comment directly at any commissioner. whether you agree with what he has done or she has done, please do not do that.
All right.
Okay, go ahead.
All right, well, a minute and 28 seconds left. I will say the people of this county have canvassed in rain and storms on hot days to give people a chance to go to the ballot and make their decision on if they wanted transportations. 6 months ago, my 17-year-old cousin, who was going to be starting college in August, was hit and killed crossing the street on Hillsborough Avenue. When we talk about transit initiatives, it's not about buses. I was a bus driver for Hart for 5 years. I saw people struggle as 20% of the bus routes were cut to make it. Elderly people, their stops getting longer and longer. When we talk about transit initiatives, we talk about street lights, we talk about sidewalks, we talk about potholes, we talk about possibly having ferries in other ways. So when you stay and people go to the polls and say that they wanted that, and we have people who've been elected to try to subvert the will of the people, that's outrageous and disgusting. And I call for everyone to stand together and not just stand for what you think is right, stand for what the people ask for, because regardless if you're an R or a Democrat or whatever, you're sitting on that board and you're representing everyone and you're representing the will of the people. And the people said they want this transit initiative. We need that ferry. And we don't need a raised stadium in an Ybor. Thank you.
Our last speaker for the morning is Sadie Dean.
Good morning and welcome, new commissioners. Hi, Ms. Silverman. So I'm asking the board this morning, what body do they serve? Do you serve the interests of billionaires or the interests of the people? Surely the Hillsborough County residents understand that the construction of the Tampa Bay Rays Stadium it's something that's absolutely going to destroy our community and rich history in Ybor City. The fact of the matter is the financial burden will fall on taxpayers, and this is something that we did not all agree to. We've seen this happen in Miami, New York, as well as Washington. Taxpayers are swindled out of hundreds of millions of their dollars for the interest of private investments and private stakeholders. So I ask you all, is this investment worthy, and does this investment reflect the will of the people? Our taxpaying dollars must fund the interests of our people here in Hillsborough County. Affordable housing should be the first thing that we're discussing when it comes to allocation of tax dollars. 15% of our residents live in poverty. And just to make sure you all understand what poverty means, that means that you are one financial emergency away from financial ruin. We've already seen in Mobley Park and Tampa Park that thousands of residents have been moved out of their homes with very little support. I have walked the streets and I have walked in these neighborhoods and spoken to the residents of Tampa Park. I've spoken to these individuals who have boxes in their homes, not knowing where they're going to go next. This should be our priority, ensuring affordable housing is available for Hillsborough County residents, not billions of dollars to be given to private interest groups. History has repeated itself this year, and we know that history shows that the Black community suffers first in these frivolous investments. In the early 20th century, Black residents were pushed out of their homes to expand downtown. During the Civil Rights Movement, an incident where a Black man was killed ensured that an entire community was torched. We know that I-4 destroyed much of the East Tampa communities and historic Black and Brown communities. So we are asking, as Hillsborough County residents, that our dollars go to local infrastructure, a better and eco-friendly transportation initiatives, better salaries for civil servants, instead of franchises worth billions of dollars that are just going to fill the pockets of absurdly rich business owners who drain our community of its culture and resources. So I ask you all to recall your duty to the Hillsborough County residents today and refuse to allow the Tampa Bay Rays Stadium to destroy the rich history and the quality of life of Ybor City and Hillsborough County residents. Thank you.
Thank you. That's our last speaker for the morning. The 45 minutes have been exhausted. The other speakers, if you remain, will be heard at the end of our meeting. Before we go into approving the consent agenda, Commissioner Overman is recognized.
Thank you, Chairman. I appreciate it. November 6th was the start of a new day in our community. Hillsborough County overwhelmingly affirmed that the issues that we face every day, like traffic congestion, access to economic opportunities, and having a safe community to live, work, and play, are critically important to the needs and need to be addressed. On Election Day, I earned the trust of 637,000 Hillsborough County voters who expect me to be the champion for these issues. A few weeks ago, I was sworn into office to uphold the constitutions of both the United States and the state of Florida, as well as the Hillsborough County Charter. While over 268,000 people voted for me, the highest number of votes earned by any current elected official in Hillsborough County, excluding our sheriff and a few judicial retentions. I now have the privilege of serving 1.4 million Hillsborough County residents. In my journey to get here, I heard and learned what getting things done is a priority for Hillsborough County voters, and I made a commitment to do that. Commissioners, I would like to present you now with a bracelet that is a constant reminder of the purpose and ethic of public service. It says, "Because I said I would." I encourage you all to wear this daily as an accountability reminder, especially as it relates to the great responsibility we have sitting on this dais. To follow through with my promise, to follow through with any promise you've made and the sense of pride it gives, knowing that you've done so. Because I said I would be a fighter for transportation issues and to protect the quality of life for all Hillsborough County residents, Chairman, I would like to make a motion to add to agenda item as it relates to item C1 to discuss the application process for the Independent Oversight Committee as it relates to the county charter amendment passed by over 57% of the Hillsborough County voters. Beginning in a few weeks, this body of government will be receiving an influx of dollars, and we will need to ensure that the oversight of these allocations is done in a manner outlined by the will of the voters. Thank you very much, and I don't know if I did it in the right order because I'm still learning what the rules are,
Okay.
but that's the only thing I knew how to do.
But